Okay, so welcome to Chapter 10, and this is all about preparing data for analysis. So, in the last few weeks, we've been designing surveys, we've been running surveys, and as a result of that, we get data. We get answers to all of the questions that you've been developing. So, we actually need to actually put this data into a system, whether we put it into Excel, whether we put it into a database, whether we put it into a statistical software, and we probably want to understand a little bit more about our data, potential sources of error, and how to potentially correct for that error. So we've already kind of talked a little bit about what can go wrong with data. We've talked about possible non-response biases, my example being that if we have a survey of how we spend our leisure time and we made it a really long survey, about 60 minutes long, and we give people $50 to actually complete this survey, we're going to have, people who have a lot of spare time but don't have a lot of money filling in that survey. And people, who are wealthy and don't have a lot of time are probably not going to fill in that survey. And that's going to generate some sort of non-response bias. We can also have response bias. For example, um, if we have a bad survey, if we have unclear questions, all the stuff we went through the last few weeks, unclear measurement, then potentially that's going to actually bias our survey. We may be dealing with inconsistent data. Remember some of the examples I gave in the first part of the class, different countries have different kind of conceptualizations for ethnic groups. Different countries may have different ways of calculating unemployment figures. Um, so there's kind of lots and lots of things, lots of different data formats, and we've got to have something consistent before we do our analysis. So this I thought was kind of a really interesting little kind of industry metric, and this is called the 1-10-100 data quality rule. So say we upload our survey into whatever package we're using, all our survey data. And if we find some problems, for example, people putting in all the same answer and not filling in the survey properly, if we fix that problem there and then when we're loading in the data, it will say it would cost us $1. But if we don't catch it, and we then start doing our analyses, we start doing statistics, we start doing visualizations based on this data, then it's going to cost us 10 times as much, $10. And if eventually this error, say for example, a load of respondents were putting, we have an idea of a product concept, and all these people were putting all the fives, and we think, yeah, everybody loves our product concept, but it's just in reality just bad quality data, and we actually go and build that product, then obviously we're going to waste a lot more money. That would cost us $100. So $1, $10, $100. I've seen it almost conceptualized as a pyramid. The sooner we deal with bad quality data, the less it's going to actually cost us. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. So this is kind of some idea of sources of bad data. I know quite a few of you want to work in sales, so I don't want to pick on salespeople, but we've got a little Dilbert cartoon here, which is my slides are blank because nobody told me what our product does, and I don't really care because I work on commission. And that's kind of like a little bit of a thing. I've worked in sales departments, and to keep the CRM system up to date, you've got to constantly enter data. But if you're not getting paid for that, you're not getting evaluated for that. A lot of people don't see the point. Things have got better. A lot of sales systems now, part of your evaluation is not just commission, it's how much good quality data you enter into the CRM system. But I've seen sales databases that are a mess. We have the same, we've got out of date information. We've got the same contact data uploaded like 5 times. We've got missing information. We've got missing fields. They can be a mess. So quite often with corporations, we can deal with bad quality data. And again, it's the same with questionnaires. If people haven't filled in surveys properly or things have been skipped out, then we're going to have potentially bad quality data. And in fact, statistics and any sort of analysis are pretty useless without kind of, good quality data. So this is what I was talking a little bit. We have this idea of non-response type bias, e.g., you know, this long survey that we're going to give people an incentive to fill in is going to bias the respondents we get. And there's ways of testing that. We can kind of test the first 25% of people to respond, and then the last 25% who are considered close to the non-responders, and see if there's a difference. We can also look at patterns of missing data. If everybody's just selecting the last answer, that's probably a problem. People filling in the wrong information. And in a way, this sort of stuff, this data correction, I learned a lot of like data skills um, when I worked in industry. When I was, even though I wasn't really a data person, I was more of an analyst. I still had to do a lot of data work to get my data in good working order before I do my analysis. So this is kind of almost a thing you learn practically on the job rather than being particularly taught in class. So this is from CIOinsight.com. So this is kind of like you know what happens if we have bad data or good data in this case. So if we have good data, we become more efficient. Our customers are more satisfied because we know what they want. We can respond more to their needs. Again, more informed decisions. And if we're building better products and making better decisions, then we kind of save costs and it improves our reputation. And the most common errors we get in the data, again, all the stuff we've covered in the class, data is incomplete and missing, outdated, quite often duplicate, quite often inconsistent. We might have two people put in information for the same account, but put in different information. And then last but not least, we have typos. So, it depends on the type of data, but if we're typing in addresses, we have the wrong address, so then we potentially can't match across all of our different data sources. So this is a slightly different one. This is a little bit cheesy. This is like from the UK, and it's just saying how much UK businesses are kind of you know losing from data. So we have this little machine, and we go through kind of the data quality machine, and 86% suspect companies suspect some inaccuracy in their data. 41% see outdated content as a big issue. 44% say incomplete data is the most common problem. And then the output from all this bad data is 75% of companies waste around 14% of their revenue due to bad data quality, which adds up to quite a big number from wasted data. Okay, so what are we doing in this chapter? Um, Basically, we're just going through these different steps, and we're going to go through it in the statistical software called SPSS. We're going to get in our data in. We're going to validate that it's correct. We're potentially going to code it. We're going to put it in a format that makes it more amenable to analysis. Again, we don't worry too much about data entry. It's not like people are typing in data anymore. Most of it is scanned in. If it's text, it's analyzed with character recognition. If it's an online survey, the data is automatically imported. But then we kind of summarize or tabulate our data. And then, not this week, but the next 2 weeks, we start going through, we'll do a little bit of descriptive analysis, but then everybody's favorite subject, over the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a little bit of statistics. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about validation. In kind of a broad scope way, validation is really just making sure that we're running the survey correctly, that we have no potential bias in the survey, or, for example, or fraud, we might have curb stoning, where, as we call the definition from very early in the class, we have one of our interviewers goes rogue and just has their family and friends fill in the survey. They just ignore the sampling plan, and they just kind of interview whoever they want. So there needs to be checks and balances. There needs to be potential checks. Maybe for all the interviewees, we record the demographics. Maybe we have an interviewee, say an interviewer who does like 20 interviews, will maybe call back 2 or 3 of those the people being interviewed randomly, and ask a few questions to make sure that the interview is being run correctly. But there are quite a few different types of error that potentially, can be covered by validation. And here we have fraud, screening, procedure, completeness, and courtesy. So let's just talk about fraud. So what we just talked about, Kurztowing, was an example of fraud. So we have interviewer fraud. We might have the respondent fraud. People just, and I'm kind of guilty of that when I'm on YouTube and I have something popped up to fill in the survey. I kind of fill in, whatever I think will get the survey to go away as quickly as possible. So there we are. I fully admitted in front of the class that in that instance I commit a little bit of fraud. Not illegal fraud, but maybe from the context of questionnaires, it's a little bit fraudulent. I mean, another example, kind of in a broader context of fraud, is marketeers are, increasingly utilizing word of mouth. That's basically things like online reviews, tweets about products, blog posts about products, people writing about their products' experiences. And customers are, because this is very important, it's quite often, if I'm looking for a new product, even if I don't buy the product eventually at Amazon, I may look at Amazon because Amazon is just this big source of online reviews. Again, if I'm looking for a hotel, I may check out TripAdvisor. So one of the problems here is, a lot of different fake reviews. I think we already covered FakeSpot. So let me just get FakeSpot. So here's Amazon. Guess I don't know why I ended with Play-Doh here, but here we have Play-Doh for kids, I guess, or for adults who've, got a lot of time on their hands. And we have the little fake, kind of the FakeSpot kind of, add-in, we'll just call it an add-in to Chrome that actually says, okay, analyzes the reviews, and these, there's lots of very standard phrases that are obviously not real, lots of reviewers with only one review just for this product, kind of a pattern of fraud. So this gets a D on FakeSpot. Let's look for something else. Kids' toys. What we got? Let's just have no idea what's happening here. MGM's Miniverse Entertainment. Let's just see what the FakeSpot is. So the FakeSpot is C, and we could actually reanalyze the reviews for this. I will just actually pause Camtasia while I do that. Okay, and then we finally got the review grade, and obviously the recent reviews have been relatively non-fraudulent. So this product now has a FakeSpot kind of review of a B. It's been updated from the previous C. So this was the video I was going to show in class, and I'll just turn up my speakers and just put it through now. It was kind of quite interesting because it's a few years out of date, but this still holds. It talks a little bit about, online reviews and fake word of mouth.
Creating reviews the way you do, is that legal?
The I-Team exposes the booming business of fake online reviews, the kind of reviews that you depend on to choose a restaurant or, say, another business. Last year, an I-Team investigation exposed how a lot of the reviews on Yelp, Google, and Facebook appear to be fake. Well, now our investigative reporter Joel Grover unmasks the people who are writing those phony reviews for a price.
We've discovered that any restaurant, any business can buy positive 5-star reviews to lure you in. But who's behind some of those phony reviews? The I-Team tracked them down from the beaches of Orange County to a basement in Bangladesh. Until recently, Black Ink Stationery of Pacific Palisades didn't have many online reviews. But that all changed when owner Patty Black agreed to help the I-Team expose people like this.
How many review need?
Who create and post phony reviews.
It's not clean. It's not honest.
First, Patty went on a site called Fiverr, which features dozens of ads like these.
I will write Google, Facebook, local review.
She signs up for a $26 package from Matthew Smith, and Matthew asks her to Skype. So we join in. You write the reviews yourself?
Yes.
Are you in Bangladesh?
Yes, I am from Bangladesh.
Turns out Matthew appears to be Hassan Qayyum from Bangladesh.
I will write Facebook and Google review.
How much for each review?
Google 4 and Facebook 5.
And within less than 10 minutes, already a new Facebook review, Doris F. Davis. In fact, it was Hassan who wrote this review from Doris Davis, plus 3 more rave reviews on Black Ink's Facebook page. And Hassan created 8 5-star Google reviews.
Doris says, I love this shop. Who are these people? They don't know my store.
We found the reviews Hassan posted appear to be from fictitious, made-up people. One red flag, the Facebook reviewers have no friends and no details about themselves. Are the names you use of real people? You use fake names of people?
Yes.
How many reviews have you written for people?
1,000.
You can't lie. You can't lie.
But it happens a lot, says internet consultant Jason Brown, founder of the website reviewfraud.org.
Countless businesses all throughout the United States that are falsifying reviews.
Like Bulletproof Digital, which we tracked down to this office complex in Huntington Beach.
Hi, Tom. This is Patty.
Patty signs up with Bulletproof, and a manager named Tom says she'll hear from an employee named Mason. She gets an email from Mason telling her to check her Google reviews, and there will be a new review from Angie Morris. They also fabricated a review from Martin J., whose picture really belongs to a businessman named Christopher Salzberg in Florida, who told us someone stole my photograph off the internet. So I showed up at Bulletproof to talk to them. Are you creating reviews of people that don't exist?
I'm sorry, I can't talk to you.
Tom, the manager, and Mason, the review writer, is what you're doing legal. Walked away and then locked us out. We'd like to talk to someone. Some states like Florida and New York have taken action, including issuing fines against businesses that buy and sell fake reviews. California has yet to take that kind of action. And finally, we asked Google and Facebook to take down the fake reviews for Black Ink stationery. They're investigating.
Okay, so I don't think we need this magic trick. So, okay, let's get back to the slides. So that was just kind of really, I thought that was just a really nicely done piece, just to talk a little bit about, data fraud, not from the context of survey, but from the context of analyzing online reviews. And again, this is kind of a more general marketing issue, but it's also an issue if we're doing data analysis based on reviews. If we are, say we have maybe three or four different products, it could be pretty much anything. Let's just say it's a cooler, and then we base the design of our new product based on maybe some online reviews, and somebody either internally or externally has been fraudulently massaging the reviews. It's very hard to actually analyze that data properly. Okay, so next up, screening. Before in the previous section we covered screening questions, but if you say, are you over 18, and if you're over 18 you can sign up for this survey and get a $70 voucher or something, people are just going to do it. So there are ways of actually validating screening, things like credit card information, online ID, matching with other profiles. So that there's kind of ways of doing that. Obviously, in person, it's much easier to screen. You can see if somebody's underage. You can ask for people's ID, talking to them. But there's the issue of maybe doing potential screening, particularly kind of in a questionnaire context. Okay, so procedure. I'm going to give you kind of 2 examples for this. Imagine, and this is the data set we're going to have in a minute, and we're testing things like anxiety, and we're testing, the data set's called fear of statistics, of people taking statistics exams. And we want to measure, pre and post exam heart rate. And we have to measure within 10 minutes before the exam and 10 minutes after. But imagine we kind of measure an hour after the exam, then again, our data, the procedure has not been followed and it results in bad quality data. And again, imagine we're doing an intercept survey on retail experience. It's only really going to work if we just get the people's views after they just left the retailer. If we decide, okay, we're going to interview our friends at a bar like later on in the evening, hours after, or we're going to be lazy and just say, hey, we don't want to wait outside the retailer. and you interview hours later, they've forgotten some details of the retail experience. So again, we're not going to get particularly accurate information. Okay, so completeness. Lots of reasons for this. Again, quantitative interviews and qualitative interviews, online and offline, are all a little bit different. We may have a lazy interviewer who doesn't, ask all the questions properly, and it results in gaps in the data. We may have a really badly designed survey that just bores people and confuses people, and they'll maybe drop out after doing 50% of the survey. Online, we can force completeness, but we can't really force particularly dropout effects. And again, a lot of this is kind of just, learning how to do it, running your first survey, seeing what happens, what you get back, how many people dropped out, whether we can improve it or not. So it's kind of this case of learning on the job and iterative improvement. And the last little example, this is courtesy bias. So imagine that I'm a small business owner, and I've spent my life savings on this new innovative innovative product. Maybe it's a special type of flavor of ice cream or something like that. It's a new kind of range of ice cream flavors, or it's potentially a new cell phone app or something like something like that. And I put my life savings to that product, and I ask people what they feel about it. They're not going to say, "Oh, you've wasted your life savings. Your product's terrible," even if it is terrible. So particularly with in-person interviews, there's a degree of courtesy bias. Just to say, okay, no, I don't think your product's terrible. It's kind of okay. I prefer these things. So there's potential issues there with people, particularly in-person interviews, not dealing with it. Other things, to kind of get around this a little bit, just make the interview as professional as possible, keep your distance from the subject, and they're more likely to kind of give unbiased feedback. But again, courtesy bias is a potential issue, particularly when you have kind of contact with the person. Offline surveys or guided online surveys with an interviewer, this could be potentially a problem. Okay, so we've gone through we talked a little bit about data problems, and we've also talked about, validation of these potential sources of error in the validation procedure. And next, we're just going to go through the data analysis step, and we're going to do it in SPSS.